Hi, I'm Martha Beahm with Grief to Hope, and it's been a while since I've been on YouTube with you, hasn't it? And I did say at the beginning of this pandemic that I would be here every week, so first of all, that's my confession. Like a lot of us, I have had a lot going on. I can use that as an excuse, but it is true. I've had to shift from my my office into my present home office, and I'm doing virtual counseling here. And in the midst of that, I'm moving stuff from previous move it to get it in my house and get everything settled there. I've also have to shift a lot of other things, like all of us have had to do. Life is not like it used to be. Everything has shifted. Everything has to be thought about. And I, like you, have had to think about not only my workspace, or whether or not I have income and how that's going to work out, but also connections with family and friends and feeling disconnected there, finding a way of having some level of balance of energy so I can keep going from day to day and don't have my energy weighing down too much. You know, one of the things that a lot of my clients, I'm a counselor, therapist, one of the things they will say, I often hear them saying, is, I am just so tired. I am so tired all the time. And I've noticed that about myself too some days. Not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, spiritually. Have you noticed that? I think with everything shifting and the stresses that we experience from the coronavirus, from maybe financial, maybe feeling disconnected from all the activities we're used to doing, everything has to be thought through. Everything has to be a new decision. And that is exhausting a lot of days. So, yeah, I think a lot of us are very tired. Only a few people have said, not much has changed for me because I'm still going to work. I'm still doing many of the things I usually do. But those are the exceptional situations, I think. So one of the things I have learned is that it's important to be intentional when there's so much change happening at once. And one of the things I'm doing for myself that's intentional is listening to podcasts. I'm not much of a reader. I wish I were, but that's not my thing. Read a little bit, but most of what I do is listen. And so one of the things I am listening to more is particular podcasts. One of those being Brene Brown's Unlocking Us. I have found so much wisdom and thought, things to think about through her podcast. She often will have guests on with her episodes. One of those recent guests was a psychotherapist named Harriet Lerner. Now, Harriet Lerner has written many books, and I have read some of her books during my graduate work. The Dance of Deception, The Dance of Anger. And a more recent one has to do with how do I apologize, or why have you not apologized? In her episode, actually it was 2 episodes with Harriet Lerner, there were many things that caught my heart and my thought processes, and I'm still churning over in my mind. One of those is about how we listen. How we listen. Communication at best is challenging. And then you throw in the level of stress we all are dealing with and the shifts and changes that are going on in our personal lives as well as globally. There's a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of new things going on in our lives. And so it's especially difficult in this time to really, truly, truly listen to our brothers and sisters around us and to be discerning in how to listen. So specifically, what caught my thought was, are we listening in a defensive manner to prove that we are right? Are we really listening to understand? When we listen defensively, we're listening to the other person and determine to hear what they're saying is wrong to prove that we are right. A lot of times we don't listen to the entire comment that is being made by the other person we hear until we start formulating our response. Or we catch on to something and we're determined that they're wrong because it's out of our comfort zone or out of our knowledge base or out of our belief system. And so we're already thinking about how to respond to prove that they're wrong in order to, for us to be right, for me to be right, for me to hold on to my own belief system, or to prove that my life experience has validity or relevance. When we think about a us and them mentality, and we hear to start determining how they're wrong and I'm right, it's always going to be divided, and we're never going to find common ground. And I think a lot of that's going on right now. The other way to listen is listen to understand. Not necessarily agree with, but listen to really understand what they are telling us. When I am listening to another person, I want to listen to who they are, what their story is, what their experience is. There's a reason they believe what they believe. There's a reason that they are expressing their thoughts and experience in their way, and it is their way. That in itself has relevancy. That in itself is valid. Just because I don't agree with them doesn't mean what they're telling me doesn't have validity and is a worth. If we're going to ever find common ground, we need to really, truly listen, to understand each other, to hear each other, to hear each other's story, to hear each other's experience. What is the intent of the other person's statement, story, experience? And then when we know that we have heard them, we can share our story, and we can begin to dialogue where our commonalities are, where our differences are. Again, not to agree with each other, but to hear each other and say, you are you, I am me, and together we are more, not less. We are more together. I hope and pray in this divisive world that we are going through right now, that we can begin to sit and listen. Our brothers and sisters who are different than us deserve that, and so do you.